Hello guys, this is me Melikachian, and I'm going to continue today my previous lecture, which I talk about typical endgame mistakes at Tata Steel Chess tournament in Holland. And today my second edition, second part of that video. And my pick went for one of the most funniest game. Why I call this funniest, especially for comments after one of those players made after this game happening. It's a game between Nakamura and Sokolov, Ivan Sokolov, from the second round of this tournament. So the game was really interesting. Nakamura tried to play some creative opening against Ivan Sokolov, and then I guess it was way too creative, and he found himself in trouble very quickly. And he's been defending the whole game, trying to save his half point. And this position appeared after move 43, and clearly it's a losing for white. I can say it's hopeless. And I think what's happening here, okay, I'm not blaming the first move of black when Sokolov played here King G4. I think it's still pretty winning here. And after the say Bishop B6, I think the first mistakes, kind of inaccuracies, start to come from this moment. Even his move F5, it's still not a mistake yet. F5 still fine, I can tell. F5 still okay. King G2, this almost happening in a game. And I was surprised, I guess, the first moment I have to tell here. I was surprised a small decision here had been made by Sokolov. Well, let me try to explain to you what's going on here. Sokolov was responsible to understand what would be the picture for him to possibly win this game. I mean, there are several pictures here. Since your king located on the king side, you're trying to play on the king side. Then next question, how are you going to win on the king side? What's your going to be game plan, So Sokolov went for the plan by trading these guys, F5, for this guy. Basically, he was trying to deflect with F pawn his G pawn, right? And he was going for H pawn and tried to use H pawn as a raise his pawn forward as a pass pawn. But that gave white some counterplay because they organized two passers, and eventually Sokolov failed to win this game. I'm going to show you the moves, obviously. But why didn't Sokolov bother himself just to kind of calm down and find pretty much seems to me easiest picture to win? And I thought how. So H5. So now, clearly this pawn cannot move, because if this pawn is moved, I'm going to get access to second rank, and I'm going to simply kill white. This guy cannot leave this diagonal because he's responsible to always defend A3 pawn. So the only move, I guess, is King F2. And after King F2, I'm going to play here. Now, problem. What kind of problem? Again, bishop tight. Bishop has no moves. If bishop gets here, I lose this. If bishop gets this, I lose that. If I'm going to play E3, which apparently the only human move remain, right? Then I'm going to simply play back King G4. I mean, I can add like Rook D3 move, but I think in general what I'm saying is this: I'm going to play King G4. Maybe more right to play, more accurate to play D3. Try to make sure this bishop goes here and then this, because now what's happening? So as soon as this guy will try to defend this possible entrances for black rook, I'm going to play any move by D file like this. Doesn't matter. And now I'm going to get access to the second rank, right? Because now I have a big time threat. You're going to play something like that. I'm going to make a check. Finally, I kick your king, and that's it. Game over. Game over. White has no king, which involved in process of defense, and these pawns are weak. I mean, honestly, it was piece of cake. It was very simple, and especially both guys passed time control. And I understand that we all getting tired. I'm getting tired. I understand. I mean, every grandmaster, every player had these missing chances. But again, we're not trying to blame. We're trying to explain those mistakes and, helping you guys not to repeat those mistakes. I mean, how many times I even provide my own losses and share with you my mistakes just to make sure you guys do not repeat my mistakes as well. And this is like very interesting moment. Clearly, what's happening in this game, why Black didn't win this position, I just believe because they didn't figure out exactly the way, exactly the position to win. And I thought when I was watching this game on live, like I said, I mean actually I didn't miss pretty much every single round. I've been watching this this is one of my favorite tournaments. I guess I remember I kind of figured out this kind of quickly because I knew this kind of stuff has to be done. Many years ago, I think back to 1996, one of my teammates at that time when I played for Armenia team, who passed away unfortunately, Grandmaster Aslan Korean, won a similar endgame, and I was a witness. I do remember these maneuvers, what he made, and that's why I immediately recalled this and said, "Oh my gosh, that's how Black's supposed to be winning this." And I don't know. This seems to me very simple. Put your pawns in the light squares. Make sure white bishop doesn't have any contact between him and your pawns, and then put white in Zugzwang, and king goes away here. And finally, you're going to call a3 move. Then you're going to go back, get here, win the game. I don't know. To me, it wasn't that hard to figure out. And just show you what's happening, how Grandmaster Kolov played this. So after bishop d6, f5, king g2, he played this. So he chooses the wrong plan, f4. Which again, I'm not saying, oh, this is like not winning. It is winning. But that gave white some hopes, So what I'm saying, Grandmaster Sokolov shouldn't give that many chances to Nakamura, because Nakamura is really great at defense, and he's one of the best blitz players. And clearly, to be a great blitz player, you must be tactically very gifted. And that's what Nakamura is, and he's really great. And basically, after he got his chances, after he created these passers in a game, he always bothered Sokolov, and Sokolov never could figure out the formula. Still winning for him, but it was way too tough. He never was able to figure out something like really winnable for him, and he failed to win this game, and it was cost him like losing his half point and pretty much losing his confidence for the whole tournament. So f5 will be 3. By the way, you see how important to keep his pawns in the light squares while you have dark color bishop in order to control more squares for yourself. So rook d3, he stands. I think at some point I missed the move here. When it's happening here, king f2. I think before Nakamura strike with f4, he played h5. He waited for king g2. Sokolov waited for played h5, he waited for king g2, and only then he played f4, he took it here, f5, rook d3. Yeah, this is still pretty much win, but like I said, this already gives the white some hopes, and looks like Black's still winning, but honestly, I didn't see here a clear a missing win for Black. It's still winning here. Maybe only one moment here. I have to say, right here moment when Sokolov had decided to go king h5, kind of giving away his hope to promote his h pawn, because now white pawn is way too advanced, and he just said, you know what, let me take care of this guy's white pawns first, and then he went king h5. So according analysis, which actually he kind of got back for that, Black should be playing here h2, and after f7, rook f7, king h2. The idea was to cut the king, keep the rook from behind, and then use his own king. But honestly, I'm not even going to discuss about this endgame, because this is different page. This is pretty much a theoretical endgame. I do know this kind of endgames, but today's point of lesson not to talk about this, because I'm not going to say why Black didn't win this endgame. I remember once I was defending similar endgame against Grandmaster Lopuchan, And we played like for 7 hours as a while, but he showed like tremendous knowledge in this end game, and he beat me up. I think it was like qualifying tournament for a World Cup, 1997, something like that. We played in Greece. But the point is of today's lectures is to show typical mistakes, and typical mistake which has been done by Sokolov, it was not knowing, like not trying to find, spend a little more time and understanding exactly like what this position was giving to him, because he gave so many chances to his opponent. His opponent was completely like on the ropes, like tied up, and he gave him like a big counterplay. He chose the wrong plan, which is surprised to see by a player of that caliber. We talk about like 2,700 like FIDE rated players. I mean, very strong grandmasters. Grandmaster Sokolov, not stranger in this world. The guy just came last year for World Open in the US and just confidently won this event. I mean, he's a very strong grandmaster, and again, I have so much respect to him. But this game, he acted so poorly, and I guess he was so emotional. And I'm saying this is one of the funniest game of this tournament, because I guess everyone, maybe not everyone, but most of you guys heard his like very famous tweet when he said after this game, "If I'm not going to kill myself after this night, then I'm going to live for 1,000 years." And for this quote, for his like Twitter, for his tweet, this game becomes so much like known. Everyone was talking about this game. So I'm going to show you one more example for this mistakes along grandmaster games. And second example, I choose, as I promised from my first lecture, I choose last round 13, Wang Hao versus Anand. I guess Anand had some problem with these two great Chinese players in this tournament. He didn't beat. In first lecture, I showed the game how he did win against Hu Yifan. And now Wang Hao, so this is like last stand, last round. Magnus Carlsen clearly won this event. And Anand been fighting with Leon Aronian for the second place. It's very funny, like in this round, I understand this last round, all players are getting exhausted. And Aronian didn't win. He's like clearly winning game against Caruana. Well, it wasn't a clearly winning end game. It was kind of winning, but actually like little complications there. And probably I will show you this end games, continue to showing those end games in my next lectures regarding this tournament. But for this lecture, concrete, I prepared the game between these two great players. And by my opinion, a typical mistake had been made by Anand in this game. All right, let's talk about this endgame. So by material, even endgame, white slightly better because they have bishop versus knight, and they have 2-on-1 the queen side. And the typical mistake by Anand had been made here. He went here knight d7 trying to improve his knight, which is not exactly a mistake. But I think before he would do that, he's supposed to be doing simply move rook b8. I thought just rook b8, pointing on b4 pawn, making sure this guy is not going to be so much advanced. And in case if you're going to play b5 here straight, let's say if you're going to play a rook b8 and let's say white plays b5, then you can consider to play here, I don't know, something like e5 maybe, and then this guy actually will get access to a6, at some point. He's going to get access to, let's say, b5, e5, and one of my plans is going to play king f6 and then moving maybe even playing like knight e6, because now I'm trying to jump like to be more aggressive and trying to use like dark squares, controlling dark squares. But I thought pretty much why not try to keep his pawns on the dark squares because they have light color bishop. And my first impression was to play rook b8 to call a3, right? And then play something like g5, king f6, followed by plan of this. Because clearly one thing black need to understand in this game, they are defensive side here. They can't really be attacking here. And when you're trying to, I'm not saying like passive defense, but when you're trying to still provide like more defensive stuff than attacking stuff, I think you're supposed to be choosing your subject to be far from your enemy. And I think understanding you have a knight versus bishop, Anand's mistake came maybe too optimistic. Maybe he also threw him a situation since he was trying to push for second place and maybe he thought he's going to play this for a win. Maybe he's like overconfident because he played the tournament overall very well and he had like a +4 score before last round, going to the last round. And I think maybe that's also kind of push him to play so aggressive. And he made here 97. Just to show you what happens in this game. Rook c6, knight f6. Now clearly black already a little bit in trouble because after a4, suddenly these two pawns are very strong. e5, f3. Well, so far white simply waiting, trying to invite black to play e4. And I thought here already from this moment, Grandmaster Van Hal start to outplay Anand. After rook d8. Yeah, I think even this moment, I guess I need to say, again, it's hard to say it's a mistake, but honestly myself, I wouldn't do it e4 here. I wouldn't disconnect my pawns, and I think it's better for me to stay like that, to chill like that, and I think if I'll do like something like, I don't know, rook d7 for instance, that's the wait, I don't think so white is going to make so much progress. To me, it is also inaccuracy, just the waiting, any waiting move. Any waiting move. I mean, g6, h5 could be interesting idea here. h5 right away. I think when you're making like a move like such as e4, you give him white some extra chances to outplay you. Because don't forget, we deal still with bishop. And after this, now suddenly there is no entrances, there is no check, there is no check, there is no check. So knight kind of completely restricted. Yeah, and I think this is another moment here. Yeah, this is, by the way, another moment here, strange. I mean, clearly whites have better endgame here. I don't think any concrete, like, stock has been missed by Anand. Like, in general term, I think it's supposed to be more aggressive in this case, at least, and since you already start to be aggressive. And I think since this guy controlled this and controlled that, and this side is okay, I think maybe it makes sense for me to, jump over here, try to be like crazy. But again, I understand Anand didn't feel comfortable to play that move because we're still playing complex endgame, and this king is still going to be in trouble, could be in trouble. So I don't think that will like make so many big changes. I think the problem came before. Problem came with choosing the wrong plan, and especially I don't like to move e4, like I said. Even computer doesn't show like a mistake, but again, I think one of the defensive law has been broke by Anand here, and instead of being like, trying to keep his subject like, far from white, he went like all in, and now suddenly, look at this, after king h7, rook c5, and step by step, white pawns are making progress, and black pawn is not. Rook d1, one more progress. And here, Grandmaster Hal found that amazing move, very strong move to bishop e6. Now black needs to get back on g6 to defend f5 square. And simply black dropped the pawn. And after this, very smooth, white won this game. And I think I'm not going to show you the rest of the game. You can actually pick up this. And just step by step, white simply won this because, they have extra pawn, they have passed pawns on the queen side, so game is over. And I remember even like after the game, Grandmaster Van Hal said so he was surprised to win this game. He actually was, pleased to win this game because he never expected for himself to win this game. So what's happening? Weak game by Anand. Again, this is like combination of everything. Being tired, last round, emotions, like, his nerves, everything. But still, we all understand these moments. Again, I'm going to say one more time, we're all humans. But mistakes which happening in this game supposed to be learned and not supposed to be, done one more time or next time. So I hope you really understand what I'm trying to say regarding this particular game. Again, for game number 2, for Van Hal Anand game, my opinion, The primary mistake came by black in this game when they start to be way too aggressive at the beginning of the game instead of providing like strategy policy for restriction and trying to make sure white pawns are not getting too much advanced and also trying to keep their own subject like a little bit far in order to restrict a white color bishop. As you see here, final position, bishop on e2 is simply monster. And now imagine if your black pawns will be keeping like on e6 and d5, taking away possible squares, and black that will get access to some kind of e5 square. It will be much easier for black to defend that particular position. I guess our aggressiveness cost are not in this particular game half and a losing full point or half point. Well, I hope you understood everything. I hope you like it, and we are going to talk about learning about how to play this interesting game of chess in our next lectures. Thank you for your time, and I'll talk to you soon.